Hello, everyone. Sorry for my voice. I'm kind of losing it right now. We are getting further and further into Character Animator, and let's start with this. If you ever wanted to see some rigging for characters that have more than just a head and have bodies to them, you can easily click on one of these guys here and open up their file as well. So I just wanted to show that. You can see how these characters are broken down pretty easily as far as their rigging goes. So right now we're in record mode. I can go to rig here, and you can see that there's different rigging and triggers that are created with this character. So these are down here is the trigger panel, and so I can see that it has different ways to set its eyes. NVB, right? So if I go here and test it out, I can do N and his eyebrows raise, V down, and B, he blinks. That's actually really nice and smooth. But you can also see that there's other rigging involved with this body. If I click on our character here, you can see that I can break down different parts of his structure, his bones. And these tools right here are meant to span certain joints to keep it from bending. And that tool is found right here, the stick tool. Basically, think of it as like the long bones in your body. I'm sure you can find them here. His legs have them as well. You double click inside of those, you can see how it's structured. And each of these parts have certain things. You can see that this part here has certain joints attached to it in the rig. So it says left heel. So there we go. Left toe is also over here. So you have different joints that are assigned to different parts of the rig to help out with the movement and motion of your character. And so you also have different motions and triggers in your panel off to the left for the right hand, the left hand, foot, and so on. And so you have different triggers and things that you can assign to these characters. Now, if we go back to Chad, and so you can see that this is my project. I have hopscotch right here, and I can go back to Chad as well and see what's going on with him. Now, if I wanted to see the rig for Chad, I can click on this and see that he's got one trigger, and this is a good start for blinking. So if I hit B on the keyboard in the record mode, he would blink on command. And it might be rather than the camera actually picking up the blinking. In this case, it would be triggered by a keyboard shortcut. So we have that. So let's look at importing a file of your own that you've created. And I'm going to do that by going to File, Import. I'm going to locate my RoboHead sample that I've been working on. And I'm going to open up the Photoshop file. I'm going to import it. So here's RoboHead. I got to double click on him. So there we go. Now with RoboHead, I have removed his triggers just for this example. Let's take a look at what he looks like in record mode. Now when I go to record mode, let's see here. Let's go back into this and let's add a new scene here from RoboHead. I'm going to click on add new scene. And so now it creates a scene for RoboHead that I can actually view in the record mode. So sorry about that confusion there. So now you can see my camera set up and it works with me. Now let's look at the camera options over here. Let's see I have these green outlines on my face that's kind of tracking the movements of my mouth, my eyes, and my head. And this is the camera input is on. Right here is the microphone. So now that I've activated it, the voice that it's picking up will trigger the mouth movements of my robot once I complete the rigging for that. This right here is for the body. Notice when I click on it, it tells me I need some more active parts for my body in order for that to work. So I don't have any arms. I don't have any legs or anything or body at all. So I'm just kind of a floating head. So that's something that we'll get into and consider for when we actually create our animation. There may be more additions to this character as we go. So let's go back into rigging for Robohead here. And I'm going to start to break this down. So he's kind of broken down just like he was in my Photoshop project. When I click on his head here, I have this blue outline that outlines his head, and I've assigned it to this circle here. So if you select an area and you select the circle, or select the part on the rig over here, then it will assign that. It will associate this whole object with that. Okay, and you also notice the tag that says head right here. And so I can go through and add these options in here. So when I click on, let's say the pupil, let me click off pupil. I have one, so what I'd like it to do is track my pupils here, left and right pupil. Okay, this is my eye, but what I want is actually the eyeball. So I want a smaller part of that. Let's see if it will let me select it. Selecting the whole head right now, which is not what I want. So this is being a little tricky because I've got an eye and I've got the eyeball. But we'll see how that works the way it is. Now, as far as the mouth goes, I've got mouth options here. I've got a smile. I got to turn it on so I can see the smile. And then I have it associated with the smile off to the side here. The same thing goes for surprise. I don't think I have any really different thing for that, but surprise with, there we go. Yeah, so there is that. I can associate it with surprise. I can also associate it with, so I can click on this for surprise. I can also click on that. I think that would be a good one for, let's say, an O sound as well. So for either one of those, that could work. I'm going to turn that off and turn on the E, sound here. And I'm going to associate that with the E and the sounds. So the microphone should kind of pick up on those as well. So I have these different options here associated with different things. The eyebrow, in this case, it says main eyebrow. I have a normal eyebrow, and I have them both selected here, and I can select the eyebrows here so that it recognizes both of them. Now, let's see if I can go back to that eyeball part. There we go. I got the eyeball selected. I don't know why I was clicking over here on the screen. This is obviously the easier way to do it. I clicked on the eyeball here, and I'm going to click on these rings around the pupils, left eye, right eye. So I can kind of go back to record and test things out, see how things are going. So you can see I'm getting some motions with my character here. Now, his eye is moving, which is pretty good. Sometimes your character's eyes, their gaze, may start to wander off further than needed. What you can do for that is open up eye gaze over here, and you have camera strength. Sometimes I've noticed that the eye will go way off. See if I can make it do it. It might not track well. Actually, it's doing pretty good. But should you need to tone something back, the motions and movements of something, consider going into these panels on the properties and turning down maybe the camera strength. You'll see how as I scrub to the left, it comes back to center. And it's coming back to what's known as the origin point. So I'll put it back at 100 here. Double click on it and make that 100. Click away. Let's revisit that. Here's the origin of this pupil. So let me go to the eye pupil here. There's a center point that's associated with it here. And same thing with these. They all have a kind of an origin point that they want to start at. So you can shift them around to kind of seat back in there where you intend them to be. So I've got an eyebrow that raises, which is kind of nice. So I can look surprised. Now this is kind of difficult because my eye is not quite tracking. I think that's difficulties with trying to rig two eyes to one on my robot here. But let's take a look at what I can do. What if I wanted an angry bot? So I'm going to go back to rig. And I have one eyebrow here. Sorry. And it is my normal eyebrow, right? But what I want to do is create a trigger for the angry eyebrow to show up. So what I would do is down here, I'm going to hit plus. And since I want it to switch from one to the other, I want to create a swap set. And then I'm going to create a trigger for each of these options here. So I'll have create a trigger for my normal brow, and that's my normal. And I have a trigger, I want to create a trigger for my angry brow. So there it is. This right here is where you type the key for how you want it to react. I want this to react with the A key. And so there it is. I'm going to grab these and drag them into this swap set. So it's associated with these are the things that need to swap when I'm creating this animation. Now this one is my normal brow, so I want that to be the default. So when I highlight it, I can see down here and I can select default. And angry brow should be linked to the A key. So let's see how that works. All right, it's my normal brow. And then all of a sudden, I'm angry. Right? Normal, A key, angry. All right, so you kind of get it. I don't know why I growled. That's weird. Anyways, now you know how to import your files. You know how to kind of go back and test them out between record and rig. If you wanted to test and actually see animation, you can hit record here on your timeline and record, a clip to see how everything works out. Other options that you have are over here off to the side, pretty self-explanatory. As far as like how much camera strength do you want? Do you want to tone down the movements of that eye or that feature? As far as like the eyebrows go, that's another good example. Let's look at that. So let's look at the face and look at the eyebrow tilt. So you can crank this up or down and it will give you kind of a range of how far things can move on your face that you've created. Mouth strength, how reactive do you want the mouth to be? As I'm blinking, notice that it's not blinking. So that's something that can be addressed. I'll go back to rig. Over here on my panels, I have an eye blink. I'm going to highlight that and turn it on. I want this eye blink to be associated with blinking. Let's go back and test it out. There, I blink and it blinks. That's good. If you wanted your blink to be more associated with a trigger instead, you can turn this off. And you can command it to trigger a blink. So I'll say I want an eye blink and create a trigger for that. I'm not going to swap it in there, but I do want to put this as a B. So I go to record. My character does not blink as I blink. Instead, we'll wait till I hit the B key and we'll blink on command. So that's how this kind of works out. It's pretty easy and you can have a lot of fun with all the things that you can do with this. So practice with your head here. Later, we will come back and work with at least a shoulder down, kind of like a bust of your character with some arms that we can also have animated as well. So have fun with this, and I'll try to talk a little bit louder in class, but I'm kind of struggling right now. So thanks for your patience. See you later. Oh no.